Hello and welcome to the Consultation Skills Course Part 3. I'm Dr. Alex and I work at the Christian Medical College in Vellore in South India. In Part 1, we saw the benefits of good consultation skills and how they are about providing better care for your patients, not just about being a nicer doctor or other health professional. In Part 2, we looked at the Calgary-Cambridge Guide to the Medical Interview, looking at the 5 phases and 2 running themes in each consultation. Now, if you think they were a little dry, then this is where the subject gets more interesting. We want to ask, how can we do this? How can we listen and talk to our patients more effectively? In this section, we're going to look at power and control in the consultation and how that can help or hinder good communication. Have a think about these encounters. I hope you recognise this lady. She is, of course, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Let me tell you about the time I met her. It was the 9th of June 2010, and I went to Buckingham Palace in London to get an award on behalf of an organisation I was involved with. We were briefed by one of her staff that we should bow, take 3 steps forward, that she would offer me her hand to shake, and having shaken hands she would ask me a question, which I should then answer. She would then give me the award, shake hands again, I should take 3 steps backwards, as you never turn your back on the Queen, bow again, and then leave. It did not go well. Instead of asking me a question, she made a statement which confused me, and I just stammered and mumbled a reply, and that was it. She gave me the award, I bowed, took my 3 steps backwards, and went out. The whole encounter lasted about 20 seconds. Here's another encounter of a similar nature. Many of you will recognise the Honourable Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India. He is giving an award for bravery to a young man called Mohit. The scene will be something like this. Mohit's name will be called, and someone will read out a description of what he did that was brave, what he did to get the award. Mohit will then come forward, greet and shake hands with the Prime Minister, who will hand over the award. The photograph is taken, and Mohit walks off the stage carrying his certificate and the gift box. Think about this third encounter. Were you ever called to the principal's office when you were at school? Maybe you were. Was it for something good or for something you had done wrong? In either case, what did the principal do? You probably stood in front of the desk and they talked at you, either telling you how good you were or how bad you were. You were probably not invited to say much more about this apart from yes sir, or yes ma'am, or no ma'am, and thank you sir. In each of these encounters, who is in control, who holds the power, and whose agenda matters? Obviously it was the Queen, the Prime Minister, or the Principal. The encounter had a purpose, and the purpose was part of, or maybe the entirety of, the agenda of the person holding the power. My opinion, my feelings and my agenda, or those of Mohit or the pupil in the principal's office, have almost no part in the encounter, or more probably, no part at all. The situation is very familiar to the Queen. She hands out awards like this to 2,000 people every year, but it was very unfamiliar to me. The principal sees naughty children every day, but unless the pupil is very bad and is seen multiple times, the situation should be unfamiliar to them. Familiarity gives control. I am sure you get the point. Many medical consultations are like this. A doctor or other health professional is in control and holds the power. It is very familiar to us. I see maybe 40 or 50 patients a day, sometimes more, whereas most patients don't attend more than a few times a year. I have qualifications and professional status which give me power in the encounter. I am in control. I hold the power, so my agenda matters. But what about this encounter? Let me tell you about my aunt and uncle. My uncle is my father's oldest brother and is 5 years older than my dad. He is now 93. He's a very nice man, but he is quite shy and very formal. Imagine I meet him at a family party. Good evening, uncle. How are you? I'm very well, thank you, Alex. How are you? How are Eleanor and the children? They're all well, thank you. And how is your family? They're all fine. How is your work going? That's fine, thanks. It's very possible you have an uncle or another older relative just like this. The encounter is warm and friendly, but because of his age and seniority in our family, and I am the youngest of all his nieces and nephews, he is in control of the conversation. He holds the power. But then his wife, my auntie, comes across to say hello. She is a warm and demonstrative lady. "Alex, my darling, how are you?" She remembers that my son has been ill. "Is he better now? How is Ruth getting on at school? And how are her violin lessons? Has she got beyond the tortured cat sounds that most people make when they start on the violin? Did you buy those new curtains you were wondering about last time we spoke? And how are you feeling about the new neighbours you were a bit worried about? Tell me more about the job you started last year. Do you find it as satisfying as you hoped?" My uncle was being polite and wanted to check that life was okay for me. My auntie is interested in me and my welfare and wants to know the details. She asks in a kind and concerned way, and in doing so encourages me to give honest answers. After doing so, I feel comfortable to ask her about her life, her health, her concerns for her grandchildren, and inevitably her hip replacement and cataract operation and the rest. At first, her agenda drove the conversation, but her genuine concern for my well-being draws me in and makes me more of an equal. She wants me to take some of the power in the encounter. There is an imbalance in age and status, and yet she yields some of her power to me to make me feel more comfortable and thus more able to show my agenda. Who has the power? She holds the power, yet the way she talks to me, she gives me some of it. She allows my agenda some space. She cannot change her age and status, just as I cannot change my qualifications in my consultations with patients. But the way she speaks with me shares power with me. So it should be in our consultations. We need to share the power with the patient and let the patient's agenda have some space. This is what I call the big idea, and it is otherwise known as patient-centeredness. Instead of the health professional being at the centre of the consultation, they help the patient to take the centre spot. This is the subject of our next presentation. Thank you.